So they know that you want a revolution. So they're giving you a revolution. They are bleeding out your rage. They are bleeding out your rage. I usually laugh when people say, "Oh, the condition of the default condition of humanity is suffering, or it's violence, or it's abjection," because I know that's not true. I know that on this planet, in this realm at least, that we have been denied the full spectrum of human experience. This is why it seems like this is our default condition, but it's not. You are in a very tightly controlled reality. If the default condition of man is suffering and violence and abjection, violence will not have to be organized. It will not have to be the most organized thing on the planet. Suffering will not have to be planned for. This material suffering, this resource deficit, this suffering caused by resource deficit, it's not natural. The only suffering that you might say comes with the human condition is the existential days of not knowing your purpose in a world where we are bereft of all our history. So they are bleeding off your rage. You understand? They are bleeding off your rage. All the violence that's happening, all the anti-immigrant violence that's happening all across the world is the oligarchs, the elites, it's people who have hoarded resources by exploiting humanity. They are bleeding out your rage. They know capitalism has reached its logical conclusion. There's nobody else left to exploit. This is why they're trying to make inroads into the last bastions of resistance. The North Korea, the Iran, the Russia, the China. This is why they're desperate in Africa, because there are new resources for the new age to be exploited, and they know that the growing demographic is increasingly demanding use of their resources. So capitalism has reached its logical conclusion. Everybody's poor. There are $1 trillion people now. Musk, when he does his IPO, it's probably going to be a trillionaire. They've hoarded all the resources, and so they know that it's a powder keg, and so they are bleeding out your rage. They are bleeding out your rage. The problem with humanity is that a lot of you who are in the matrix, you think that these systems are universal truths. They're not universal truths. You have been exploited all of your life. Capitalism is not a universal truth. You are not just selling your labor, you are selling your time. The time that is your most precious resource. This is your most precious resource on the planet that is finite. You can never get it back. The 70 years to experience sentience is what you're giving up for $10 an hour. Not just the manual labor and intellectual labor, but the time that you're giving to corporations. You're giving it to them for $10 an hour. You've been exploited. Everybody has been exploited. The universe is abundant. There are abundant resources. They have elites long before you were born have enclosed the natural abundance, tokenized it, and made you give up your time to get back what is your natural bounty. And now everybody's poor, and there are a few rich, 6 rich families who own the wealth of of half of the world. And so everybody's poor now, and they know it's a powder keg. And because violence and evil is the only thing that's organized, because human beings just default to existing in peace and abundance. The evil is the only thing that's organized. So they know that you want a revolution, so they're giving you a revolution. They're giving you a revolution. In South Africa, they're giving you the revolution because they know that South Africa is on the powder keg. That they know that they are slowly come to the realization that they still have no lands, that apartheid never ended. And so there's a powder keg, but there's no organizing force, because good is what they call it. It's default. Good is default. It doesn't organize. So they want to give you the revolution that they're looking for, so that you don't come for them, the real corporates, the 13 or 10% of the settlers who own 80% of their resources, the people who own their mines, the people who own their lands, who own their mines. They're begging, they are fighting immigrants for the people who have taken their resources to hire them. They're fighting immigrants so that white people, the actual settler colonists, can employ them. In Ireland, they're pointing at the immigrants who is just suffering, who is simply escaping the foreign policy of their own government, of Western governments in their country. All the wars they cause from destabilizing the global South, all the theft of resources, and the resultant abjection in the lives of the people in the global South that drives them out of their homes to go and seek some peace and shelter away from the same foreign policy that has given them the wealth and abundance. The Irish are turning on the poor immigrants. This is cowardice. You are cowards because you do not know how to take on the elite. So you are turning to somebody. If you are turning to somebody who is marginally poorer or marginally just a little bit richer, more well off than you, when the problem is the trillion-dollar companies who are hoarding resources, who are sitting like literal dragons on the gold they've stolen from you, they've stolen from your time that you gave up. This is cowardice. So we are failing because we've seized the information space, because violence is the only thing that's organized. So we've seeded the information space. So the only thing that is organized, which is violence and discord. And so they have narratives, and so they are bloodletting the infection in society. The infection that is the good that is the awakening of the people. They are bloodletting it so that it doesn't erupt, so that it doesn't corrupt the body of this capitalist virus. They are bloodletting it so that it doesn't die. So they are turning your rage against each other. That's what's happening. And so we are failing as humanity. We are failing the fundamental lesson to be learned. If this whole construct, this whole realm is preordained, right? With binary outcomes, and if sovereignty is not guaranteed, and a test of this realm is, do you want your sovereignty enough? Do you want your individual sovereignty? Do you want to wrest away from capitalism? Do you want your national or your collective sovereignty? Do you want to wrest away from imperialism? If that is the only question in this anarchic world, in this realm, that you are put here to answer, then the only answer is unity. And so we are failing fundamentally in the only reason for life is to learn a lesson that is only through unity, that we can throw off this yoke of enslavement. Unity across religion, across tribes, across races. Unity is the only thing that will throw off this yoke of enslavement that has befallen humanity. And we are failing in that fundamental lesson. We're going to need several reincarnations before we learn that you cannot be punching to the left when the problem is on top. You have literal billionaires telling you that the problem is immigrants and the problem is the other black people like you. We're failing in learning the lessons. That's the only lesson that you're put here on this planet, is to learn that unity is strength.